This video is sponsored by Full Reptile Collective, brought to you by Dan Hardy. Head over to their website at fullreptile.co.uk where you can find anything from training gear, t-shirts, hoodies, all the way to coffee. For an exclusive 10% off, use Dan Said So at checkout. Make sure to also check out their YouTube channel for some of the best MMA content out there, bar my own. Let's get back to the video. Another fight on UFC 272, Covington v Masvidal. We've got 3 5-minute rounds with Umar Nurmagomedov and Brian Boom Kelleher. And this fight to me is an upsetting one because one, I love Brian Kelleher, and two, Umar Nurmagomedov is the real deal. What he showed in his last outing against Morozov, who is an elite level grappler, just to absolutely ragdoll him. Every time he got a body lock from the back, he sunk 2 hooks in going for a choke, and he did not give up. He maintained that pace for 10 minutes nearly before he got the choke. About 8 minutes. Did it again, flattened him out, choked him out. Brian Gonzalez choked him out. Before that, he was in PFL for a fight. Umar is just like, he's almost like a hybrid of Khabib and Zabit. He's got better grappling than Zabit, but not quite as sharp striking. But he likes to strike. He's not afraid. He's got the Ryan Hall syndrome. He knows, I can take me down. Go for it. So he just unleashes the kicks. Got great high kicks, a great body switch kick as well. It's turning side kicks I've seen, low kicks, any kind of low kick, thigh or calf, insides. He's got the whole arsenal of kicks. His hands are a bit sloppy, in my opinion. So that's one area I thought Brian could actually do really well in, closing a distance, landing a couple 1 or 2 hits because he knows he's going to get taken down in this fight. The wrestling advantage, I think I can ignore in this because you don't need to mention it. Who's got a wrestling advantage? Who's got the grappling advantage? Boom Kelleher's got an unbelievable guillotine. The squeeze he can put on you is, 11 out of 10 pressure. But Umar's not going to be so stupid to leave his head in an exposed position, in my head. In my opinion, it's just not what his game is. His game is a body lock and grab you, suplex you to the floor and grab a bag. What do you reckon?
Man. So yeah, like you said, Brian Kelleher, big fan favorite, of the hardcore fans. Everyone loves Brian Kelleher. He's one of those guys who will always show up to fight. He's going to make weight. He's going to be there 100%. He's very well-rounded. The issue with Brian Kelleher, and I think we have enough tape to see it, is, he's I think it's 8-5 in the UFC. So successful, but he's up and down. And he, you put him in there with a guy like Kevin Kroom, destroys him. Yep. Easy, unanimous decision, destroys him. But when you look at his recent losses, it's to guys like Ricky Simone, who is, an aggressive wrestler, grappler type. His loss before that, Cody Stamann, another wrestler type. So Brian Kelleher is very good. He's very well-rounded, but when he goes against a guy who's just a little bit more overpowering and a little bit more advanced with the grappling and the wrestling, I think that's where he faults. And freaking Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin, he's going to have that advantage. And like you're saying, I went back, so I watched the Morozov fight. Unbelievable with the grappling and the wrestling, but then I went back and watched some of his previous fights. His kicks are insane. Mm-hmm. He was blowing people's knees out, just whipping kicks to the calf. He was throwing like Sparta kicks to the sternum, like literally knocking people off the ground.
Yeah, power front kicks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then he'll just throw consistently like 6 head kicks in a row. Mm-hmm. It's insane his level of striking and kickboxing. And then of course he's Khabib's cousin. He's training with the Eagles. He can take you down repeatedly. The pressure's there, the pace is there. He can grapple. He'll choke you out. It's just a bad matchup. Straight up, it's a bad matchup for Brian Kelleher. And I feel bad because we all love Brian Kelleher, but Umar is going to come in. He was a -500 favorite in his UFC debut against Morozov. That's ridiculous. And
that's Morozov, who is a phenomenal grappler.
He's very good.
Yeah.
So he was a 5-1 favorite there, and he's just going to be one of those guys who's going to Islam Makhachev. He's going to be a heavy favorite in pretty much every fight he goes in.
Yeah. The one thing that worries me, And I completely agree. He's going to be a -1,000 minimum in this fight, 100%. The one thing that worries me about Brian is he gets finished. He's lost a lot to submission, Darce chokes. He's been armbarred by Marlon Vera. John Lineker knocked him out with a left hook back in the day before he moved over to One Championship, I think. John Lineker went over to. But John Lineker had heavy hands. And, he's a complete mixed martial artist. He's got chokes on his record. He's got arm locks on his record. He's got knockouts on his record. He snatches necks all the time. He's got great wrestling. Actually, no, he doesn't. He's got good everything. That's how I would say Brian Kelleher fights. He's a good overall mixed martial artist that if you give him a 10-run fight in the UFC, he'll win 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
But if you gave him a 10-run fight against the top 10 or the top 15, he'd probably go 2-8. And that's the kind of level he is. He's the ultimate gatekeeper to that ranked spot. Whereas Umar, by the end of next year, I guarantee he's in the same place as Islam is now, fighting for that belt. He's going to be calling out people constantly. He's got Khabib in his corner, which is the best thing because I know no one is like Khabib. Islam is not Khabib. Umar is not Khabib. But Umar, to me, has a similar style of wrestling, or sambo, whatever you want to call it, to Khabib. He's the most similar. Whereas Islam has his own style.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different. He loves to chase a submission more. He likes to trap more. Islam's actually quite a good striker as well. But yeah, the kicks in this fight, I guarantee Umar's going to open up with some ballsy move. He's going to light it on fire. He's going to love the crowd. He's got Khabib there. Khabib's going to be backing him all day. It's a no-win situation here for Brian to me because there is only one way I can see Brian winning. Two ways. One, catch him, which anything can happen in MMA. Absolutely. He could definitely catch him. But I hate putting that in an analysis video. Like, he could always just knock him out with one shot.
Right.
When has he ever done that? He doesn't. So I'm not going to put that really. But the other one is he could snatch a neck. When he goes in for a takedown, Umar, if he one time in his whole career gets careless, which he's never done, he could snatch a neck up. But for me, it's just going to be Umar ragdoll, grab the back, choke him out. It's going to be a rear naked choke finish round 1 or 2. And that is where my money's going to go.
Yep. No, I think that's a good point too. So Brian Kelleher, I was just looking at it. He has 3 guillotine choke finishes in the UFC. And then you get Umar, who's a little bit greener. He's a young guy, only 1 fight in the UFC. Like you said, maybe he gets a little ballsy, tries to get a little crazy in there, go for a highlight finish type of thing. And then maybe he gets caught with the guillotine. I think that, if you're a betting man, you're already going to get great odds on Kelleher to bet him straight up. But if you want to go even further and take him by submission, like that's a great way to play this just to maybe win some big money. But outside of that, it's Umar all day. And this is just the start of it, man. We're like you said, this is going to be the Islam climb. We just talked about Ankalaev, these new hybrid fighters who can grapple, they can strike, they can wrestle. He fits the bill 100%, and they will run him to the top, and he's going to be a problem.
Absolutely agree. So we've both got Umar by, I'd assume, some form of submission from you as well. I say rear naked choke.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's go. I'll go on the other side. I'll go with like a TKO, KO type of situation if he catch, because he's going to be worried about the grappling and the wrestling. Opens you up to a head kick,
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing I'd like to note about Umar is from when he was 4-0, he then started facing people with a record of, say, 16-8 in Yamauchi, 13-1 for Soborov, and that was in Battle of Volga. In PFL, he fought Kakramanov, who was a hype machine, on 5-0. He fought Wagner Lima, who had 12-4. Bear in mind, he's green as hell here. He's got barely any fights.
Yep.
He's fighting 16-7, 13-6. All these records of these guys from when he was 4-0. He's fighting people with 25 plus fights, and he's ripping them to shreds like they're nothing. So, new generation here. Full credit. I say every video I do about a Nurmagomedov or a Makhachev is I was never on the Khabib train, so I am on all of these trains.
Yes.
Until, even when they lose, I'm still on them, Makhachev and Nurmagomedov, all of the Nurmagomedovs. I'm with them forever now. So, yeah, we've got Umar, guys. Let us know if you think Brian Kelleher can win in any other way than what we've said, or if you just think he's going to get absolutely destroyed like we believe.